All right, folks. So first of all, good morning. Good morning to the folks in India, and a very early good morning for the folks who are joining from Europe. I mean, it's just literally 5 a.m. in Germany. It's just freezing outside. And good afternoon for the folks who are based out of, let's say, Australia or Japan or Hong Kong, if you're joining us from there. And good evening for the folks who are, coming from the North American region. Um, so India Cloud Security Summit, as I was talking about in my promo video, for those who have attended this event last year, you know what it means. For those who are attending this event for the first time, so in my welcome note, I'll be talking about what India Cloud Security Summit is all about, and what we have to offer for you today. First of all, welcome. It's I understand today is a weekend. It's a pretty deserved weekend for you. You might be having sort of a very hardworking week, and all you could think of on a weekend is to either rest or go out and have some fun. But thank you so much for taking some time aside and spending your valuable time to learn something new. This is this very motivation that keeps us to keep doing events every year tirelessly, and thank you so much for that. And we'll keep doing more such events as we move forward throughout this year. I like to begin with sort of a punchline for this event. So we all understand that we are living in an era where data and information has become the lifeblood of digital transformation. Yeah, but they also increasingly attract cyber criminal activity. Conventional security tools can't help to fight the increasing threat landscape, and we need modern tools to defend ourselves. And if you know think about this quote, right? I mean, this is the thought process behind this entire event, because we all understand that the current world that we are living in, that is a lot of digital transformation which is happening. You cannot simply say that digital transformation is a nice to have anymore. It is a must have. And if you look at the cloud offerings which we have, and those are the tools that are going to help us to drive this digital transformation, but they also increasingly give the landscape for cyber criminals to come in and steal our data. So what it simply means is the conventional mode of the security things that we had in the past, they are not going to work anymore. So we are talking about an environment where we have all the modern tools which are going to help to defend all the threats out there. Well, I clearly understand that security is not a product, but it is a process. But today in this full event, we'll be talking about all the modern tools from Microsoft that are going to help to secure and govern your cloud landscape. So what is Microsoft India Cloud Security Summit all about? Well, it's a day full of learning. Let's begin like that. So you have 14 hours of non-stop learning. So we'll be running three different tracks. The first track, if you go to the event website, which is www.indiacloudsecuritysummit.com, you'll be seeing three different tracks. So the first track is Microsoft 365 Security and Compliance. As the name itself says, that is going to completely focus on security and compliance focus to Microsoft 365. We'll be talking about, let's say, SharePoint, Exchange, Teams, OneDrive, Azure AD, the Defender. So anything which has to do with Microsoft 365 security and compliance, that's what the first track is all about. Then the second track is going. I'm sorry. The first, I think I have a typo there. The first track is all about Azure security and compliance. The second track is going to be about Microsoft 365 security and compliance. So on the first track, we'll be talking about everything related to Azure security and compliance. It could be Defender for Cloud. So anything that you can think from Azure security and compliance, that's what the first track is going to be all about. The second track will be completely about Microsoft 365 security and compliance. So as I said, anything to do with SharePoint, Teams, OneDrive, Azure AD, all these things will be on the Microsoft 365 security and compliance track. Then the third track is nothing but Power Platform and endpoint security. So on the Power Platform and endpoint security, we'll be talking about Defender for endpoint, anything to do with Power Platform, there are a good amount of security and compliance related topics towards Power Platform as well. So we'll be talking about that on the Power Platform. And when it comes to endpoint security, things such as DLP, Microsoft Defender, Defender for Endpoint, modern desktop management, there is a whole gamut of things when it comes to endpoint security. So that's what the third track will be focusing on. So today's sessions, we have a lot of deep dive sessions and loads of demos. It's just not those salesy PPTs that you would be seeing. We made it very clear as organizers that we really want to make sure that it's worth your time. So every single session will have a good demo on it, and so that you're able to visualize and deeply understand the concept which our speakers are talking about. When it comes to speakers, we made sure that we at least took 3 months to go and hunt the best speakers in the world. So we have Microsoft MVPs, we have industry leaders. So these leaders, they are cybersecurity experts, and we have at least 60% of our speakers are from Microsoft product group and engineering team. I think by far out of the events that we had conducted so far, this is the event which has almost 60 percentage of speakers only from Microsoft. So you could imagine the amount of work that has gone into this putting together this event. You'll also have a lot of Q&As. Of course, at the end of every single session, you're allowed to ask your questions and get it clarified with the speakers, and a lot of networking. Of course, this event is virtual, but still you get to chat with with the audiences, with the speakers, and that's really going to help to build your networking circle as well. We also have a special keynote by an industry leader. So his name is Gaurav Agarwaal. So he's a senior vice president and global security lead of from Avanade. So he'll be joining us in the next few minutes to share his insights and thoughts around cloud security. And today is just not about learning. You also get an opportunity to win some exciting goodies. So what you need to do for the goodies, I'll be also talking about the quiz that we'll be conducting in the towards the end of this event. Just give me like 2 3 minutes, and I'll be getting to the quiz topic. So here are some session guidelines also, which I want you to keep it on top of your mind, because this is the pattern that we'll be running the entire event today. So this is really important. So please try to stick to this. So each and every single track. So let me repeat it. Each and every single track will have its own team meeting URL. What I mean is, if you go to the agenda and if you see the Microsoft 365 security and compliance track, so the entire track has just one single team meeting URL. If you're somebody who has attended our previous events, for each and every single session, we would have kept a single team meeting invite. We didn't want to do that. That was simply because our attendees had to jump from each and they had to just leave the teams meeting after one session is over, and they had to join the other session. So we simply do not want to do that. So if you're interested on Azure track, just join the Azure track, just join the first session, and for the entire day, you can just stay on the Teams meeting invite, and speakers will just keep joining one after the other, and they'll be presenting their session. So when it comes to questions, we really welcome your questions, and that's the only way to get your doubts clarified. But what we humbly request is to keep your questions parked towards the end of each and every single session, right? Towards the end of every single session, the speaker will give you at least 5 to 10 minutes to ask your questions. So please make use of that time, because in the middle of the session, if you're getting into that mode, it would simply prolong the entire event. So let's not get into that. Um, of course, if at all you don't want to voice out your question, you could also put it on the chat. So what I would recommend is try to use the chat functionality as much as possible. But if you feel that there is a scenario wherein you need to voice out your question, I would only recommend only during that scenario, please unmute and ask your question. But for the most part, try to use the chat functionality to ask your questions. And as I said, after the session is over, so please stay on the same Teams meeting URL only, because as I said, this is a series of sessions. So each and every single speaker will be joining the Teams meeting, and he'll be delivering his or her session, and they'll leave. So all the sessions will be starting on the exact same time mentioned on the agenda. Yeah. So we really want to make sure that we are sticking to the time, because if you look at this event, we are starting around, let's say now is the welcome note, then we'll be having the keynote, and we have sessions planned till 10:30 p.m. IST. Yeah. And after that is when we have the quiz. So for an event which is going to run this long, time is really key, or else we'll be spending the entire day here, and that's not simply what we want to do, right? So please, I'm requesting everyone to stick to your time, and please be mindful of the time restriction that we have as well. So if you're interested to attend the quiz, I would urge everybody to take opportunity of this and attend the quiz towards the end. So if you're planning for that, please join the quiz hub. So that's the link there, quizhub.confab.com. So that's the tool that we are going to use to run the quiz. I'll be talking about in the next few slides. So please sign up for that, because only then you'll be able to attend our quiz. So it's a similar tool, like similar to what you would see in Kahoot. We are not planning to use Kahoot, but the experience is similar to Kahoot. So please sign up for quiz.confab.com and you should be good to go. And finally, if at all you have not joined our meetup group, which is Microsoft 365 Power Platform and Cloud Security India user group, please take some time to join that user group. We have close to 3,000 members now, and we have a lot of activities planned for the rest of this year. And I don't want you to miss out on all those. So please make sure that you join the meetup group as well. So event team, I would really like to give a huge shout out to the folks who have put together this event. So we have almost about 8 members. So we have about 5 organizers and 3 volunteers who made all this possible. As I said, it took almost 4 months for us to go ahead and put together this entire event, because we literally have close to like 50 sessions, and we also have close to 50 speakers. We want to make sure that we are making this event worth your time. So which means we had to go ahead and hunt for the best speakers in the world. So thank you so much, and a huge shout out to the event team as well. Our speakers today, I mean, as you could see in the slide, we have a great range of speakers. And I was saying just in before a few slides, we have speakers from Microsoft, engineering and product group. We have MVPs, we have industry experts and security leaders as well. So this is a great collection of speakers, and I could only imagine how far our knowledge can be improved with all these speakers sharing their knowledge today. All right. So what do we have in house for those who are planning to attend the quiz? So we have 3 different goodies for you. So the first prize is the Lenovo tab. The second prize is an Echo Show 8 second generation, and the third prize is a Boat smartwatch. So what do you do to win these exciting goodies? So this is where you should attend the quiz. Now the quiz will be conducted at 10:30 p.m. to 10:45 p.m. IST. Now what are we going to ask in this quiz? So this quiz will comprise close to 15 to 20 questions, and all these questions will be coming from the sessions that you would be attending today. So please pay close attention to all these sessions. Our idea is to pick at least 1 or 2 questions from each and every single session, and the quiz will be asked, and the questions in the quiz will be coming from the sessions that you'll be attending today. And as I said, it's 10:30 p.m. to 10:45 p.m. So unless and until you have attended the entire event, you won't be able to, attend you won't be able to answer the questions in the quiz. So please make sure that, you're attentive and you attend as many sessions as possible throughout the entire day. So I would also like to take a moment to thank our sponsors as well, because without sponsors, an event of this scale is simply not possible. All the social media promotions, all the logistics, so anything that you have been seeing was made possible only by these sponsors. So at this very moment, I want to thank Microsoft, Pentara Technologies, Rapid Circle, and Assisto. And our promotion partner for this event is Avanade. So Avanade is where I work for. So they have been very instrumental in promoting this event. So I want to take this moment to thank them for all the great work that they've been doing so far. So today's event is just not about us, it's just not about learning, but we also want to make sure that we are making a difference. So we want to ensure that if you go to the event website, you could see that we have paired with an NGO called as Scope for Change. So we do this normally every year for the India Cloud Security Summit. So just visit the event website and donate whatever is possible. Maybe at the end of the event, maybe 1 or 2 weeks from now, you will see the entire amount that we'll be contributing. We have already, I think already some 6,000 to 7,000 is what has been contributed so far. So if at all you want to make your contribution, we don't ask you for any specific money. Whatever you feel is what you can just go. It could be 100 rupees, 500 rupees, 1,000 or 2,000, whatever it could be. So please go ahead, visit the event website, and you could donate money for this NGO. So with that, please join me to welcome our keynote speaker, Gaurav Agarwaal. So I'll hand it over to him. So Gaurav, as I said, so he's the Senior Vice President and Global Cybersecurity Lead in Avanade. So he's based out of Seattle. And let me hand it over to him. So Gaurav, you there?
Yeah, thanks, Vignesh. Just a quick sound check. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. Good to go.
Fantastic. So let me And thanks for the nice welcome and great event lineup that you have done. So I can definitely imagine how much effort goes in.
Yep.
And let me share my screen so that we can get started. Doing that, let's ensure everybody can see the screen.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So let me get straight into the topic. I would be spending next 25 minutes or so talking about cloud security and why cloud security is important and it has become a board level imperative. And from a board level imperative perspective, what I mean is it's critical for enterprises of all sizes. And I would say a lot of that is actually driven by the increased adoption of cloud itself. And I'm sure all of you would agree that cloud is business critical and it's the primary vehicle of innovation and digital transformation for enterprises. And while adoption of cloud has gone pervasive, but it can bring significant benefits, but along with it, it also brings in the risk of getting exposed, risk of getting security vulnerabilities. And that's where we need to ensure there are controls in place with respect to cloud security, and that's what I'm going to spend my entire time on. But if we step back, I would say the barrier to entry for threat actors has lowered, but the number and the impact of attacks are exploding. It's like always increasing number of attacks. What I'm sharing on the screen is survey from Microsoft, which shows that in any given 60-second window, there are huge number of attacks which are happening. Let's say the most simple one that I want to cite here is 921 attacks per second with respect to password attacks. And that could be a beginning to a bigger vulnerability penetration that could happen or a blast surface area of that attack. Or a simple aspect of saying, hey, from the first phishing scam click that a user does, an attacker on average just needs 1 hour 42 minutes to begin and move literally within a corporate network so that the blast surface area of that breach keeps on increasing. And with this kind of a perspective, the cost for securing your infrastructure is increasing too. So on one hand, enterprises are adopting cloud so that they could innovate and transform faster, and which is resulting in their digital estate expanding at a rapid pace. But with the current economic pressure, there are limitations to what amount of resources the enterprise could throw to secure those data estate which are sitting in the cloud. And the cost is ever increasing. Other thing that I want to call out here is, irrespective of what people think in terms of phishing scam or the sophistication of cyber attacks, still the number one cause of cloud data breach is the misconfiguration, something that can be addressed fairly easily. And I would spend some time in terms of talking about what are the common challenges, what are the common trends that we are seeing in the market with respect to cloud security solution, and my perspective on a 7-step approach that an organization can take to have a good cloud security posture. So let's look at some of the top cloud security challenges that we see within our client conversation. But the first challenge itself is about the cloud complexity. While cloud is making things easy from infrastructure provisioning, application development, and things like that, but it results in a complexity which is not understood by people who have been managing the infrastructure, managing the application in the on-premise world. Just the fact about shared accountability in a public cloud world is causing huge amount of confusion. In a recent survey, 80% of respondents actually agreed and specified that their CISO and cybersecurity leaders are under pressure to develop their cloud fluency related skill set. and they don't even understand what does that shared accountability ratio matrix look like. What is the hyperscaler's responsibility? What is their responsibility as a consumer? And to complicate the things, if they have outsourced their infrastructure or application, then what are the responsibility that outsourcer has? That shared responsibility model creates confusion because it changes depending upon the infrastructure and cloud service type too. In short, I would say the three V's in the cloud, volume, variety, and velocity, only compound this challenge by dramatically increasing the attack surface. And since in cloud, resource sprawl is easy, that means your attack surface area is increasing exponentially too. To make the things worse, the cloud talent itself is not there, but on top of it, the cloud security talent is rare. It's very difficult to find resources who understand the cloud security mindset or the concepts like cloud security posture management, cloud infrastructure entitlement management, or cloud native security capabilities. And sometimes it is as simple as saying the usage or adoption of some of the old tool set or policies which probably got defined 20 years back, 30 years back. And those policies are not able to cater to the compliance requirement or not able to leverage the capability that a public cloud provides. So that's a perspective of saying what are the top security challenges that we see. But then there is an aspect of saying, hey, if customers are still moving to the cloud, that means they are doing something. There are solution patterns, architecture patterns that they are deploying or the tools that they're deploying. So some of the common cloud security solution landscape trends that I see in the market are adoption of zero trust architecture at the core so that you could be secure by design, along with a combination of shift left approach so that you could identify and fix your vulnerabilities early in the process of your software development lifecycle itself. And when I'm saying software development lifecycle, that includes the infrastructure or the provisioning side of the things also. The other trend is about, hey, as public cloud offers everything as APIs, way more automation. So security as a code so that you don't have to worry about creating a system from a backup or an archive, but you could start provisioning. So your total time to recovery could be way faster. You could integrate that back into your CI/CD pipeline itself. Or the aspect of decentralization of access along with multi-factor authentication or just-in-time access. We are also seeing increased adoption of managed XDR plus SIEM and next generation SOC solution, but in an outsourcing model. So clients are realizing that it's hard to deploy and keep that continuous innovation that you need to be secure in the cloud. And that's why that increase in that outsourcing. But the other aspect of saying here, as cloud is becoming more pervasive, it is just not about securing your data while it is at rest, but it's or while data is in transit, but it's also about securing data while it is in memory in the cloud. So from that aspect, the adoption of confidential computing is increasing, especially for scenarios where it is about B2B or information sharing that happens between two business entities. Overall, also an aspect of adoption of AI for event correlation or UAB or preventing attack disruption, wherein you even probably don't need to take a manual intervention to kill the attack chain. Those are some of the trends that I've seen in the market. But with all that trend, one thing is very, very clear, that there is no single approach that you could apply. There is no silver bullet to have clouds secure or your cloud solution or application secure. And the best example that I use here is a Swiss cheese defense metaphor. which is about there are imperfection in every solution that you would apply. Now, what you need to do is to create multiple slices to improve your success with a better confidence on your cloud security. So always look at what kind of different layers you are able to create within your cloud security posture and solution. But to keep things simple instead of going deeper, I want to put you across to a 7-step or 7 ways to protect more with less. The first step out of that, instead of going through 7, I would probably go deeper in the interest of time. So let's talk about the first step, which is about establish your cloud security strategy. I would say before you start getting deeper into cloud security, ensure you are defining your cloud security strategy, cutting across the 5 different layers or the building blocks: data, workload, network, identity, and governance. And a 6th block, which is also equally important, that in parallel, you need to have your strategy that how you would take care of your privacy and compliance. So get your cloud strategy in place, including the privacy and compliance there. Then get into a mindset wherein you should be looking at secure code to cloud. That's another way of saying shift left approach, that whatever you are developing, it should be developed securely for using secure software development lifecycle. And when you are putting it in the cloud, then ensure at the runtime it is secure too. But within that, one thing that I would like to call out is that while you're looking at secure code to cloud, there is a concept that I highly recommend to explore, which is about unified policy, wherein you could use the same set of policies that you got for runtime protection in the cloud. If you could use the same set of policies while you're developing your code or while you're developing your infrastructure as a code script, that way you could have that unified policy engine so that you don't have to maintain 2 versions of truth of those security policies. So having said that, I just want to bring in a technology perspective and definitely aspect of Microsoft security platform there. So from secure code to cloud perspective, I would say Microsoft Defender for Cloud, especially with 2 new capabilities that recently got announced with respect to Defender for DevOps or Defender Cloud Security Posture Management. Those 2 capabilities helps you in taking an end-to-end perspective about secure code to cloud, because the runtime protection aspect would help you in gaining comprehensive security posture visibility. You would be able to prioritize the most critical risk with a graph-based context, because sometimes it's just not about seeing a list. You should be able to correlate, look at it visually. And then also aspect of saying, because clients are just not adopting one single cloud, they might end up with hybrid or multi-cloud. So aspect of saying, can I use the same sort of tool for runtime protection for multi-cloud? And that's where Defender for Cloud would help you in doing that. Just to extend onto this, because this capability of Defender for DevOps is fairly new, so I just want to spend another 15 seconds on it. I would say using this capability, it's about unified DevOps security management across multiple pipeline and multi-cloud environment, and which, if nothing else, would help in strengthening your cloud resource configuration and also automating your security intelligence. And then it could become a seamless loop the way I described the unified policy engine perspective to it. Let's look at the third step or a third way to look at. While you look at secure code to cloud, but the fundamental block there is you need to secure access for the connected world, because in public cloud world, or especially with remote work or hybrid work scenarios, everything is behaving like a connected world. For that matter, even an aspect of operational technology and the IoT or IT side of the things converging, that means you really need to secure or plan your identities for the connected world. And that's where the Microsoft Entra product family helps you in addressing just not the aspect of human identities or associated permissions, which could be a multi-cloud aspect to it, but also a capability that we recently announced about workload identities. And those workload identities are very, very critical for any cloud security posture, because for every human identity that you get in a cloud landscape in a client, you probably are looking at 1.5 to 2x workload identities. And some of those are transient in nature, especially if customer is using containerization and things like that. So an aspect of secure your access, define your identity policies, your identity detection and response, and that's where intra-family could help you in taking care of some of those complexity. In short, I would say Entra would strengthen the connective trust fabric that underpins every digital interaction. Because what client need is a fabric of trust that connects them, their work, and all the apps and devices in between. Let's look at the next step, which is about securing the dynamic world of data, because at the end of a day, what you are moving are application, workloads, infrastructure, files, or whatever it is behind the scene. It's all about the data that you took to the cloud. So how are you securing your data? While most of the time people understand the aspect of data security at rest or at transit or with confidential computing with respect to in memory. But one thing that I want to highlight here, which we see most of the customers struggle, is they don't plan for the insider risk, because it is just not about the external risk, which you could address through different layers. It could be as simple as your network parameter or identity as parameter. But what about the insider risk? That's where I would say a solution like Microsoft Purview would help you in addressing aspect of insider risk management, or how do you go about information protection workflows and things like that. So plan for dynamic world of data and how do you secure that both for external attacks and for insider risk. The fifth thing that I would suggest here is to you have to look at managing things securely across platforms and cloud. And that's an aspect of saying majority of enterprises today are adopting multi-cloud. So they need a seamless mechanism in which they could manage their endpoints, including the server endpoints that exist in a unified manner. And that's where the Microsoft Intune family, especially with Microsoft announcing that Intune would become a family for everything with respect to our endpoint management also. So that's the aspect of secure across platform and cloud. Then the sixth, which sometimes a lot of customers actually struggles with, is that I got all the tools, I've done multiple layers, but guess what? The cyber attackers are smart too. They are also leveraging cloud and technology, especially the aspect of AI, to become more sophisticated. And since the threat landscape is dynamic, organization also needs an unparalleled view to threat intelligence. So any good cloud security posture needs to ensure they are establishing the exhaustive threat intelligence, which would happen through partnering with governments or maybe partnering with hyperscaler threat intelligence. And that's where I would say Microsoft is one of the leading threat intelligence provider, because they monitor 43 trillion security signals every day. And that information is available to Microsoft customers through threat intelligence, Defender for threat intelligence, or also through set of graph APIs. The seventh and probably last thing, which is about continuous innovation and protect at machine speed. Because as I said in the beginning, an attacker just requires 1 hour 42 minutes to create a larger data breach or lateral movement in your corporate network. So what you need is protection at a machine speed. And that would happen with a combination that you would establish for your SIEM and XDR solution, which would happen on a Microsoft platform through Microsoft Defender and Sentinel. And especially the new capability that Microsoft announced with respect to automatic attack disruption, which is amazing because it can correlate and automatically start blocking or disrupting the attack chain. And this capability of Steam and XDR combined integration works just not for Azure, but for multi-cloud scenario too, cutting across web services, Linux, Android, Amazon, GCP. So you're fairly well covered with that stack. Now, if I have to put it together, I would say for cloud security, look at your end-to-end solution around Microsoft security platform, right from threat protection to the managed services, incident response, and security advisory. That's the newest capability that Microsoft added through a network of partner ecosystem. Um, in short, I would say it's more about clients need to consolidate and secure the digital estate using a unified security platform approach, potentially or preferably Microsoft security platform instead of best of breed of disconnected product. And based on a Forrester study, if an organization adopts end-to-end Microsoft security platform, they could realize cost saving up to 60% as compared to a fragmented multi-vendor strategy. A quick summary before I hand it over to the next speaker. Most of this I covered, but one thing that I want to call here very clearly is cybersecurity is an infinite game, and future of cloud security requires a fundamental shift of mindset. One really needs to stay ahead of attackers, and you need constant innovation. Now, if you follow the 7-step journey that I described, I think you could reach where you could feel about cybersecurity confidence, or you could feel a little bit more cyber resilient in this word. So in summary, shifting the cloud security mindset and focusing on its unique needs and application is necessary for enterprises to stay protected and extract all their value from the cloud. While there is no silver bullet in cybersecurity, what's possible is simplification. And that's what probably that 7-step journey could do, or a more simpler approach could be shift left, zero trust design. So I would say be proactive, leverage the defensive AI to help fortify better business outcome in the cloud. And most of the time I tell my customer that in public cloud, you can be as secure or more secure as compared to your private cloud too. It's just about ensuring you are using the right solution set. Thanks for the time and listening into this session. If there are questions, I'm more than happy to take those. Okay, seems I don't see any questions on the chat window. So thanks for your time and enjoy the remaining of the conference.